Hello there, my name is Brian Berthoud, and this is the truth-telling exercise for IS 502 Practices of Community. And I'm choosing to reflect upon one specific incident that happened where I could have better utilized the idea of truth-telling, that what Paul had talked about, and then really what Jesus gave us the example to throughout his ministry. And the incident was revolving around a sermon that was done at our local congregation. And at the time, it was our youth pastor who got up and did the sermon. And it was done in such a way that, in my opinion, did not honor the Word of God in its proper context. And I feel that a lot of God's truth was being exploited to a certain degree. And I was really upset by it. And I prayed a lot about it and wrestled with what I had heard and what I had experienced, and if I was right to pass judgment in such a way. And eventually I reached out to the lead pastor and expressed my concerns. I would say in a graceful manner, because I had thought about it for a few days before I had reached out to him, but I had failed to connect the idea of my extension of grace as it relates to truth-telling, and then as it relates to people. So what I would say is, up until this point, as I was walking in faith, I was continuing to seek and elevate God's truth over and above everything, separate from God's grace. So there was an idea in my mind that wasn't commingling with one another. And after my conversation with the lead pastor, the dust was kind of settling. I still felt uneasy about the situation. I reached out to another person from the congregation, and he explained to me the embodiment of Jesus' ministry being of truth and grace, and how there was a personal element of the witness of the truth that required for Jesus and requires for us a heightened level of grace. And then I hadn't thought about that experience for quite some time, because I felt like I wouldn't say moved on from it, but kind of merged those two ideas with one another, as opposed to separating them. But when I was reading Paul's few chapters on truth-telling, she did a really good job of connecting a personal element to truth-telling. And it's one thing just to rattle off truth or to speak it, but it's a whole nother element to look somebody in the face and extend them grace and mercy as it coexists with truth. So I could have handled this differently. I could have reached out to the youth pastor individually and shared with him my expressions of concern, as opposed to going above him and talking to the lead pastor. And it turned into what I would classify as my problem, as opposed to edifying the church body. I sought to kind of fix what was inside my own heart, rather than contributing to the needs of the church as a whole. So there was kind of the entire experience was one that I felt was misguided on my part, but one that I have learned from. And I'm praying that I continue to kind of learn how truth and grace coexist with one another as we witness to the glory of Christ in all that we do. Thank you.